Good morning, everyone. I'm Phil Witt. Welcome to Fox 4's special report on the Derrick Vincent Thomas Memorial. Derrick Thomas, the Chiefs' great linebacker, died 1 week ago while in treatment for the severe injuries he received in a traffic accident in January. His death gripped his family, Kansas City, and the entire football community with grief. Derrick Vincent Thomas was just 33 years old. Fox 4 this morning will give you a look back at Thomas's life, the highlights of his achievements on and off the football field, and we will bring you complete, uninterrupted coverage of the memorial service at Kemper Arena.
Derrick was a great man. You know, in 33 years, he probably did more than all of us all put together that we've done our whole life, and he's just going to be missed by everybody. Derrick, no one knows the things we've seen, and you've been with him. You know, we could sit here and tell stories all day, but one quick story, when he was at the hospital one day and we walked into a little kid's room, and Derrick, being the kid he was, he said to him, he said, well, how you doing? The guy says, well, I'm not doing real good. He said, you know, tomorrow's my birthday. And he said, well, that's all right. He said, your mom or, you know, be down to kind of spend with. He said, well, my mom got killed in the car wreck that I was in. And Derrick kind of, you know, he hunkered down a little bit. And he said, well, what about your dad? He said, well, my dad got killed too. And so immediately, Derrick said, well, what would you want for your birthday? And he said, well, you know, he said they had a race set and had this and that. And we left the hospital right then, went straight to Toys R Us, bought, I don't know, $600, $700, $800 worth of stuff, came back, and Derrick spent the whole night in the hospital with that room, or that kid in that room. And these are stories that no one ever hears about, and no one ever knows about. Derrick didn't want it covered or anything like that, because we can talk about it now that he's gone, but that's the kind of guy Derrick Thomas was.
Right, Hank Williams Jr., who was very close to Derrick Thomas, and Mike Tillis. I'll tell you, Hank, it's tough on everybody.
It is.
This is a return trip to Kansas City after 2 weeks ago. I know you did not want to make that. You don't appreciate me.
Well, none of us wanted to make this trip, you know. I've aged more in the last 3 weeks than I have in the previous 50 years. I didn't know how much I loved them both, and even my children. I mean, that's the part I couldn't understand. There are a lot of similarities here in our families and lives. My father's funeral was a huge event in the South, and that was long ago. That was on January 1st. 25,000 people. They said there were 25,000 people at Derrick's yesterday.
Yeah.
And man, he's going to be really missed by all of us. I think when I tour again, we're going to put a little number 58 over on the side of the stage and put a little cap and turn it around backwards on the amplifier for this year. That's the least I can do to try to remember him.
Hank, I know you're on the program today, and I'm not going to ask you to give us any thoughts on what you might say, but I do know at Mike Tellis' funeral, you spoke of a song on your next album that you wanted to dedicate to Mike Tellis. Can you tell us anything about that?
Naturally, that will have a continuation and a rewrite now, because the way it was will have to be changed. But it'll be one of the best gospel songs I ever wrote, and it'll be painful in another couple of weeks or so when I finish it. And all the proceeds from that song will go to the Third and Long Foundation.
You see former Chiefs head coach Marty Schottenheimer, who spent a decade here in Kansas City. There's Mrs. Schottenheimer by his side. A decade here in Kansas City, and was Derrick Thomas's coach during his first decade in the National Football League. Fox 4 Sports' Al Wallace takes a look back at the remarkable life of his friend.
When the Chiefs selected Derrick Thomas with the 4th overall pick in the 1989 draft, the club hoped the All-America from Alabama would help bring the team back to NFL prominence. He did, and how? His rookie season set the tone for a career that would last 11 years in Kansas City, a first year where Derrick Thomas recorded 10 sacks to earn his first trip to the Pro Bowl. Quickly and understandably, Derrick Thomas adopted the nickname of the Sack Man. He soon became the league's premier threat to tackle the quarterback in the backfield. In that regard, no one in the history of the league had a game like Derrick Thomas did on November 11th, 1990. 7 times Derrick Thomas sacked Seattle's Dave Krieg, a record that still stands 10 years later. While succeeding on the field, Derrick Thomas also succeeded off the field throughout his career. His Third and Long Foundation helped inner-city youngsters to read. He liked reading, he liked kids, he liked politics.
This past weekend, we had our own presidential debate, and this was Ross Perot.
All reasons why Derrick Thomas was designated by then-President George Bush a point of light. For his efforts, Derrick Thomas was also named the 1993 NFL Man of the Year, perhaps the league's most prestigious honor. Over the next 7 years, Derrick Thomas would become the Chiefs' all-time sack leader, while helping the team make the postseason an almost annual affair. He seemed to always play best when Air Force jets would fly over Arrowhead Stadium, conjuring memories of his late father, a casualty in Vietnam. Throughout the 90s, though, Derrick Thomas's main mission was to help the Kansas City Chiefs win a world championship. Quick, strong, aggressive, he helped redefine the NFL's rush linebacker position.
Thomas chases him. It's a safety. Derrick Thomas for Kansas City.
Then on the afternoon of January 23rd of this year, 22 days after Derrick Thomas turned 33 years old, he and two friends were involved in a one-car accident in the snow and ice near Kansas City International Airport. Derrick Thomas's longtime friend Mike Tellis was killed, and Derrick Thomas was critically injured. 16 days later, Derrick Thomas, one of the best linebackers in NFL history, died at Miami's Jackson Memorial Hospital.
What a remarkable life and career packed into 33 short years. On January 2nd of this season, Derrick Thomas became the first Chiefs player ever to play regular season games in 3 different decades.
Phil, we've seen a lot of high-profile people starting to show up on the podium. I think they're about ready to get going inside.
And this is the start of the memorial tribute to Derrick Thomas.
For 11 seasons, Derrick Thomas sought excellence. He regularly achieved it.
A fumble on the play. Picked up by Derrick Thomas at the 10. He bobbles it. Gets it out of bounds in the end zone.
His friendly off-field manner belied a Sunday mean streak, which propelled him to a league record 7 sacks on a single afternoon.
On the play. It's picked up by Kansas City. Derrick Thomas, the 20, the 10, the 5, touchdown! What a play! The Chiefs are on top!
In Kansas City, he grew from a talented kid into a true professional athlete.
Hey, you gotta forget it, Derrick. Listen to me. Look at me, young man. You gotta forget it. Look, Derrick, I'm telling you something. You understand what I'm telling you? Look at me, Derrick. You gotta forget it. If you don't forget it, it'll gnaw at you. It'll take away your ability to do what you need to do in the overtime.
Thomas's ability and leadership earned him the respect of an entire organization.
Quick pattern, knockdown, intercepted, Kansas City. Derrick Thomas, listen to me closely. Derrick Thomas has played 11 seasons in the NFL. That is his first career interception. Yes, that's the first one. That's the first one. That's his first one. That's his first one. Believe it. Hey. Well, you know how happy I am for you, boy. It took 11 years.
For those of you who are not aware, history was made today. After over a decade of play, Derrick Thomas got his first interception. The entire defensive front signed the end zone photo of it. We'd like to present it to him right now.
Today, we pay tribute to a man who understood that physical gifts are not enough. And each day, Derrick Thomas worked to improve himself and his team.
I take my hat off to each and every one of my teammates, coaches, everybody affiliated with this organization. Today, we had to step up, and we stepped up.
He became a leader in his community, earning the NFL's Man of the Year award in 1993. And through the years, he never sated his thirst for victory, never lost his love for his fellow man, and never surrendered his quest for excellence in each area of his life.
I consider myself as a winner, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to win. I can't even tell you how big my heart is.
Although this is not a sanctuary, That which will occur here today is sacred. And we ask for your prayers as we move through this Kansas City service of remembrance for Derrick Thomas.
Good afternoon. First, I would like to publicly thank Edith Morgan and Rose, Derrick's special aunt, for bringing Derrick home so we could say goodbye. She didn't have to bring him here, but she knew that home for Derrick is Kansas City and Arrowhead Stadium. Also, we would briefly like to thank the Kansas City Chiefs because they have been marvelous during this experience. They have brought this city together in one spirit. And to Derrick's children, as Joe said, they are blessed because they contain the fire and the spirit of their father. They too will soar. The White House, Washington, February 14th, 2000. To the family of Derrick Thomas, Hillary and I are deeply saddened to learn of Derrick's tragic death, and our hearts go out to you. Derrick Thomas was a gifted athlete and a fierce competitor, setting pass-rushing records both during his college career at the University of Alabama and during his 11 years with the Kansas City Chiefs. But as intimidating as he was on the field, his kindness, character, and quiet generosity off the field earned him the deep gratitude of the many children and families he helped and the warm affection of his teammates and the entire Kansas City community. Derrick's courage in the days following his devastating injury was an inspiration to people across America, and his death is a great loss for us all. Hillary and I hope you can find comfort as this difficult time in the knowledge that Derrick's life, character, and achievements have won him a lasting place in football history and in the hearts of millions of fans. We're keeping you in our thoughts and prayers. Bill Clinton, President, United States of America.
My name is Carl Peterson, and sometimes this man we're honoring today called me Pops. To all of Derrick's teammates, to his former teammates, to his fellow NFL players, to all of his coaches, to all of his fans, on behalf of Derrick's mother, Edith Morgan, his family members, Derrick's Third and Long Foundation, the Kansas City Chiefs, the National Football League, thank you for coming here today to celebrate the life of Derrick Thomas. Where does one begin to even attempt to reflect on this young man, my affectionately referred to son's life? This was a man who lived 28 hours in 24 every day. He lived 75 years in 33, and maybe that's why from time to time he was a little bit late, but he was always there. Where do I begin? For me, the first time when I saw him, this was before I was even hired by Lamar Hunt as president of the Chiefs. I will never forget it. It was November of 1988. Legion Field in Birmingham, Alabama. Auburn versus Alabama. Derrick was spectacular that day, as he was so many days. for the University of Alabama. The next time I really got to see Derrick up close was in Tuscaloosa, when Marty and Bill Cowher and myself went down to work him out before the NFL draft in 1989. I'll never forget, we met with Bill Curry, the head coach at Alabama, and he said, "Let me tell you guys something, you'll never be able to tire him out." On a very hot day and on AstroTurf, we worked Derrick out with Howard Cross and a number of his teammates, and we worked him out and we worked him out, and everybody fell away, one at a time, except for one. Bill Cowher turned to me and he said, "Carl, have you seen enough?" And frankly, I was angry with Derrick because he didn't come to the Indianapolis Combines. So I said, "Bill, let's do another drill." "Have you seen enough?" "One more drill, Bill." And every time at the end of the drill, Derrick would turn to me and give you that smile, and to Marty, and say, "What else can I do for you?" That's when we got, I think, a first up-close look at not only a man with a huge heart, but a man with tremendous, tremendous pride, an indomitable pride. We would see that heart and grow over the next 11 years. There was no question that we were hopeful to make him our #1 draft choice with the 4th pick in 1989. Thank God he was there for us when the time came. Thank you, Edith, Granny, for raising such a special, special son. You both did a magnificent job. He was special because of you both. He was special because of your family, his brothers, his sisters, aunts and uncles, all of those that were with him. DT never forgot where he came from. He never forgot those who were there when he needed them. Marion Williams, his 8th grade teacher, became the NFL's Teacher of the Year because of Derrick. Wilbert Johnson, Derrick's high school wrestling coach, will never forget him and never be more proud of an individual, as well as James Colsey and Willie McIntosh. And the people of Dade County Marine Institute will always remember Derrick. Why? Not only for his on the field and off the field accomplishments, but because he always went back. He always kept in touch. He tried to be an inspiration to the youth of today who are making the same difficult decisions that he had to 15 years ago. Derrick came to us in Kansas City from his home in Miami, from his home in Tuscaloosa, and he came to the heartland of America, Kansas City, Missouri, Kansas City, Kansas. He could have chosen to live in any place in America, but he chose this place. And indeed, it was here in the heartland of America that he gave us his heart. He gave his heart both on and off the field, and he became Kansas City. I watched him grow from a bright-eyed #1 draft choice with a huge heart and an insatiable desire to learn to an accomplished veteran. Literally from the first day he arrived until the last day he left. It was certainly my desire, and I believe Lamar's also, that Derrick would begin and play his entire career for the Kansas City Chiefs. I would never have allowed anything else. By the grace and the will of God, By the grace and the will of God, he accomplished that. Derrick Thomas will always be a Kansas City Chief. Derrick was like watching your own son grow, and Lord, did he grow. If at first Marty, and then later Gunther, were his teachers, I had to be the principal. In his short 11 years in Kansas City, he touched so many hearts. He never could seem to do enough for people. He would, as Dan Lebatard of the Miami Herald recalled, quote, get up early Saturday mornings, drive to the local library, and read to children in the Third and Long Foundation. And I would add that he would coerce, drag, and pull fellow players, and yes, even the president of the team there also. And once we were there, we knew how special it was. He would walk into a hospital with teddy bears in both arms, and when the parents would call later to tell him that their boy had died clutching his football card of Derrick, he would cry and cry. Now, certainly many players out here today on our team and throughout the NFL have and do similar things. But Derrick didn't just talk about it, he did it. There are numerous other stories of this type that only I and a few have been privileged to, because Derrick did not want anyone else to know about it. Thanksgiving, Christmas, these were big for Derrick. He would go to the locker room and coerce his teammates and demand from them at least $100, usually more, and they'd give. And then he would come upstairs to my office and he'd say, what are the Chiefs going to do to match this? And we'd negotiate, and he loved to negotiate. And then we'd decide on how much the Chiefs were going to match. And then he'd say, okay, Father, now that's what the Chiefs are going to do. What are you going to do? He got me every time, and I looked forward to it. And we always said that those discussions were the easiest and the most fun negotiations that we ever had. Derrick would not only raise the money, he would buy the groceries, he would get his teammates, he would get the red coaters, and they would go personally deliver the groceries on Thanksgiving and Christmas. The Kansas City and Missouri River flood victims of a number of years ago were beneficiaries of Derrick's efforts while we were up in training camp in River Falls. The homeless, the Kansas City Chiefs, and Kansas City Children's overdue library fines, Chiefs employees' personal tragedies, a young, ostracized AIDS boy's ploy, and concern in Oklahoma. All of these things Derrick was concerned with. He was so special. Derrick was a great ambassador for Kansas City, for the Chiefs, and for the National Football League. During our American Bowl games in London, Berlin, Tokyo, he never said no to an appearance for the armed forces troops. He took great pride in it because he was so proud of his father. He did this also at the 9 Pro Bowls he was involved in. The tribute that I and Derrick's teammates, James Hasty, Tim Grunhart, Will Shields, and Tony Gonzalez, just recently witnessed at the Pro Bowl were special. And Derrick got a chance to see that. I watched him grow. Was he perfect? No. Who among us is? Did he make mistakes? Of course. Who among us has not? Did I have to scold him? Sometimes reprimand him? Yes. Suspending him was the most difficult thing I've ever had to do as the president of the Chiefs. It never stopped him. It never deterred him. His indomitable will just kept coming on. Perhaps our friends in the media might reflect for a moment that players like Derrick Thomas, and there are a lot of them in the audience today, do things and do them all the time, as Derrick did. And yet, it's a bit tragic that it takes something like this to really report and see the good in a man. Not a perfect man, but what a tremendous man. He was impetuous, he was impatient, and he was always moving forward to the next challenge. He always had a sincere, insatiable interest in people and life. He had a gusto, a spirit, a hunger for what he could learn. He took courses to complete his degree. He was so proud and thrilled with his learning of the computer. He was so proud of his third and long kids, and he had their same enthusiasm for learning and life. We had some wonderful talks throughout the years. We talked about football. We talked about life after football. We talked about business. We talked about people. We talked about life in general. And I will cherish every one of those talks. I made a statement about this same hour last week. I said, a light has gone out. I need to correct myself. The light nearly dimmed briefly and then came back on and is shining today brighter and bigger than ever. That light is the spirit and the smile of Derrick Thomas. I am as proud of the fact that he affectionately called me father as I am of anything in my life. He was a son I never had. He will always be my son, but in truth, he will always be our son. His indomitable spirit and great heart for the game and for giving and giving will always be with us. I must thank Lamont Winston, our director of player development, and Kristen Nix, his assistant, who were with Derrick every moment from the accident until his last breath. Also to our Chiefs' fine medical staff, to Dave Kendall and Bud Epps, who had a special bond with Derrick, to Dr. Joe Wackerly, to the fine medical staff at Liberty Memorial Hospital, and most especially to Dr. John Brown, who loved Derrick like I did. I will finish with this. Why did this happen? Why did God let him live another 2.5 weeks after the accident? Perhaps it was to bring greater attention to the importance of putting your seatbelt on and putting them on your children every time you get in a vehicle. I told our organization last week when this tragic event occurred that something good would come of this. And perhaps Derrick will save many, many more lives in the future, in the years to come, by that small but simple act of buckling up. And perhaps there's also some closure for my son Derrick, who is finally with the father that he never really got a chance to know. And that is comforting, and Marcus Allen suggested that to me, and I appreciate that. Derrick was as comfortable with presidents and generals as he was with the fan on the street who would stop him and come up and say, DT, how are we going to do this week? And he always took the time to explain, we're going to win. He was an uncommon man among we common people. Godspeed, and Derrick, thanks for coming our way. This city will never forget you.
I'm Lamar Hunt with the Kansas City Chiefs, and I'd like to start with a word of recognition and gratitude for Derrick Thomas's father, Captain Robert Thomas, who was lost on an Air Force mission over Vietnam in December of 1972. At that time, his son Derrick was only 5 years of age, and I, of course, never knew Captain Thomas. But I can honor his memory today because of the ultimate sacrifice that he and others gave, that we all are able to live in the greatest country on the earth. Derrick's mom, Edith, had the foresight to see that Derrick was born on the very day that the Chiefs qualified for Super Bowl I. It was January 1, 1967. We didn't know it then, but as the Chiefs were beating the Buffalo Bills that day, there was a little baby boy, who was going to play a very important part in all of our lives. Edith, I heard that Derrick in the hospital register was listed as baby number 55-58, and the color scheme at the hospital was crimson, as in Crimson Tide, and red and gold, as in Kansas City Chiefs red and gold. If it really wasn't, that's the way it should have been. I always felt there was a wonderful symbolism in the seemingly coincidental fact that Derrick was born January 1, as I've said. And I used to kid Derrick that he was destined to play for the Kansas City Chiefs. Derrick was the first draft choice, of course, of the Peterson, Schottenheimer era, and of course he carried forward into the Gunther Cunningham era, which has just started this last fall. Everybody knew about Derrick's football accomplishments, but not everyone does know that because of Derrick Thomas, Paul Tagliabue, the commissioner of the National Football League, created an NFL Teacher of the Year award. Paul is gonna say something about that in more detail, but the first honoree 8 or 9 years ago was Derrick's grade school teacher, Miriam Williams. And Derrick's life celebration shouldn't go unsaid. And I think she should also be honored for her part in his life and the fact that she helped mold this exceptional young man in doing the things that he did. In 1992, President George Bush designated Derrick as one of America's 1,000 Points of Life for the Third and Long Foundation and its work in wiping out illiteracy. Derrick was the only pro football player so honored. Derrick Thomas was and always will be a shining light, and most of all for his family. That is how I know that he will always be remembered. He'll also be a shining light for young people who he helped to improve their reading skills. And I suspect that's the one thing that he would hope will forever be his legacy. He was and will be a shining light for the sport of pro football, for Kansas City, and not to overstate, but I think he's a shining light for America as well. Just as Robert Thomas's life inspired Derrick to improve, Derrick's legacy will be a true shining light for all others. His smile is a memory that I will always remember. It'll last forever, and that's how I'll remember him. But life goes on, and I can only say that America is the loser today. There is a void in America. And we all know that void is impossible to fill, but Derrick, we're all going to try our very best. Thank you.
In celebrating Derrick Thomas these last few days, thousands of positive things have been said about his life. This is understandable because Derrick's impact on so many people was so extraordinary. Sure, he had a great impact on the football field, on opposing quarterbacks, on opposing players during his 11-year career with the Kansas City Chiefs. But Derrick Thomas had a profound and permanent impact on people's lives off the fields in a way which is extraordinary, not just for an athlete, but for anyone in any walk of life. Those of us who've been grieving from afar have been listening to what fans here in Kansas City have said about Derrick in the past week. And I know that I got some comfort from reading so many of these comments of the fans. I just want to share a couple with you. Said one fan, Derrick was a heck of a person when it came to doing and helping other people. I don't think he knew the word no. Another fan, nobody graduates from third and long. It just remains part of you. And another fan, we're not here because Derrick Thomas died. We're here because he lived. Derrick and his inspirational leadership grew to be synonymous here in the Kansas City community during the decade of the 80s. And Derrick probably never knew it, but as Lamar Hunt just mentioned, Derrick inspired a nationwide NFL program involving NFL players that recognizes that the true heroes are not always the athletes, but the teachers who positively shape the players' lives. Years ago, I was here in Kansas City for the 101 dinner. And that's when I first met Derrick Thomas. I think it was 10 years ago. And he spoke at that time about his relationship with his middle school English teacher, Mrs. Miriam Williams, of the Palmetto Middle School in Florida. His remarks were so sensitive, so caring, so mature, and so full of insight that when I went back home, we created the NFL Teacher of the Year Award in honor of Derrick Thomas. So when you see many of our games now on television, you see the Teacher of the Month nominated by an NFL player and selected by a panel. At the end of the year, including at the Pro Bowl, appropriately enough, you see the Teacher of the Year honored because of his or her qualities and his or her contributions to making an NFL player into a mature, caring, and giving individual. It's so appropriate that Derrick was the one who inspired this, because Derrick himself was a most extraordinary teacher, as we all know from the wonderful things he did in this community and other communities. As a commissioner of the entire league, it's not for me to root for any team, but it is my honor and my privilege to cherish unique and caring individuals such as Derrick Thomas. We're all here today, deep with pain, with broken hearts, and with our vision blurred, because we cannot answer the question, why? Why at a time when we need the Derrick Thomases more than ever? Why at a time when we need the Walter Paytons more than ever? Do we lose both Walter Payton and Derrick Thomas? Perhaps the answer is threefold. We can sing the hosannas and the hallelujahs to celebrate what Derrick and Walter accomplished. We can broadcast to the world the qualities that they had and that they brought to their communities. And we can live our lives following the example that they set. If we do those three things, the life of Derrick Thomas, and before him the life of Walter Payton, will be celebrated as it should be. Godspeed.
A lot of Derrick's teammates have given comfort to me. I think they're all worried that I may not be able to make it through these next few days. Derrick and I had a unique relationship. He told me when I got here he would take care of me. And when Marty Schottenheimer resigned and Mr. Hunt and Carl gave the head coaching job to me, he said, "Gun, how do you feel you're going to follow a legend?" And I said, "Well, I never looked at it like that." He says, "Boy, are you lucky you've got me." I could never be mad around Derrick Thomas. It would last for about 15 minutes, and he would be in my face unmercifully. I couldn't walk from one end of the locker room to the other. Through Derrick, I was able to establish a relationship with a man named Jim Preston. He's a major in the Air Force, and he and I have talked at length since Derrick's passing, and it was a really difficult time for both of us, and he wrote me a letter. And this is about Derrick's room, which is our locker room, which I think he called home. The letter starts, "The locker room was dark as a man pushed through the red door. He reached for the light switch, but it didn't work. The only illumination came from the glow of the exit lights. He smiled. Carl must have not paid the bills, he thought. He walked slowly over to his locker past the table where he had signed 1,000 footballs or more. He smiled again, shaking his head. Where are all those balls now, he thought. As he approached his locker, he kicked a stool over towards it and sat down, facing the empty room. Where is everybody, he asked out loud. I can't be late, or Gunn will be in my face right now. He chuckled and thought, did Gunn have that much gray hair before he met me? I doubt it, he said. He reached back over his head, found his helmet, pulled it down into his lap. He rubbed it gently. Man, you and I have been through some tough stuff, he murmured. He leaned back and closed his eyes. What's been happening, he wondered. A while back, they told me that I'd never walk again. Now I'm ready to play. And I guess I made it here too late. Maybe it's all a bad dream. A voice floated through the air. No, son, it's not a dream. You're not late. In fact, you're too early. The man looked up as a figure came towards him in darkness. The figure was tall, thin, wearing a green suit and boots, carrying a helmet of his own. Daddy, the man asked. Yes, son, it's me. How long has it been? His father replied, 28 years, a lifetime. Why are you here now? The man asked. The figure put his hand on his son's broad shoulders and answered, you answered your own question, son. It's been a lifetime. I'm here to take you home. The man reached up, put his hand on his father's and said, I guess I know what you mean, Daddy. I guess I'm ready too. What's that sound, Daddy? It's raining. What's that sound, Daddy? Is it raining? The son asked. No, that sound is tears falling. I want to show you something before we leave. The father and son walked in the room filled with men the son had played with, worked with, and fought with. As he walked past a group of men talking, one of the men laughed and said, remember when the others laughed too, their own memories flooding back. They wiped away their tears and shook their heads silently, asking, why? It was a scene played back across the room, moments of laughter followed by anguish of tears. They're celebrating you, son. How do you feel? The father asked. I don't know, Daddy. It won't last long, will it? What do you mean, the memories? Let me put it this way. How long did you miss me? When did you stop? The father asked. I never stopped, Daddy. You're part of my life. Every day, the son answered. The father answered slowly. Then that's how it'll be with these men, son. They'll go out and continue their lives, some going on to great careers and achievements, but every single one of them will be able to go back to that day you left them here, and remember what he was doing. Son, you were an impact player in more than just the football games you played. The father and son turned and left the room. The son said, I guess it's time now, Daddy. What did you mean when you said I was too early? Well, son, the father answered, I wasn't really honest back then. You see, a lot of people you knew think you've been taken from them too soon. They knew you had so much more potential to live up to, and that's true. But you've been taken now for a very special reason. What's that, Daddy? The son asked. The father answered, well, about a week after your accident, there was a mother and father driving down the freeway with 4 kids in the back. The father lost control of his car and it rolled. The worst injury in the whole car was a sprained wrist. When the highway patrolman got to the car, he asked about them wearing their seatbelts. The young father said, because we've been thinking about Derrick Thomas. So, son, even though you've inspired thousands of kids to play football, you've helped thousands learn to read, you're going to save thousands more from death and injury. That legacy you're leaving, son, I couldn't have done it better myself. I'm very proud of you. The father and son walked away slowly, arm in arm. They soon vanished in the midst of the mist outside of Arrowhead Stadium. As they did, a star turned on in heaven, and it'll shine brightly forever. I wanted to share this letter with you because I know we'll all miss Derrick. But for a man that's never buckled a seatbelt in his life, I want you all to know every day that I get in my car, and I have no reason to lie to my wife, who says to me every morning, "I love you, honey, buckle your seatbelt." And I say, "Sure, I will." It's taken Derrick's passing for me to buckle my seatbelt, but I'll wear it every time I get in my car. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Gunther, I'm working on that myself. I'm trying to, after 50 plus years, I won't tell you the rest of it, but 50 plus years, I'm trying to learn how to buckle mine up also, and I'm doing pretty good at it. My name is Otis Taylor. I'm with Third and Long Foundation. I could say I'm here to pay tribute to my boss, Derrick Thomas, because that's what he was for us that worked with Third and Long. He was our boss. There's always one little word I like to always say, Edith, that Derrick used to do me that I didn't understand why, but I never did ask any questions. I don't think Derrick ever, and I've said this time and time in the last 4 or 5 days, Derrick never did call me Otis Taylor. He always called me Big O or some other word. I think Neil had it best. I think those other words I could say when he called me is that when we had the show down at the Herbert House, I talked one day about the offense being so great and how a bum job the defense done, Neil. And I think he wanted to fire me and he wasn't even paying me. I never could get that in mind, firing without paying. I'm with Third and Long, but let me tell you this, great superstars of the National Football League, Kansas Cityans from all over. Third and Long will stand tough. It might seem pretty strange, but I'm going to tell you this, we'll be looking for your help, NFL players, NFL former greats, because there's one thing that I've learned over the last few years is with Betty Brown and Third and Long, I learned how to beg. It's kind of fun, too. But I'm asking you, Edith, this is my boss. It's not just a football player, it's a star football player, a star worker in the community. He's going home. You'll see a Buck Buchanan, a Walter Payton. They're just forming another team for the NFL in heaven.
First, giving honor to God. My name is Betty Brown. I'm the president of the Third and Long Foundation. I met Derrick about 10 years ago talking about his literacy program. And at the time I met Derrick, I did not know what I was getting into because the Supremes, the ladies on his board, Derrick always had a job for us, never told us until we got there. Now, Carl, you talked about the Thanksgiving baskets, the foundation. Red Coaters would be out there helping, but he would have his board members out there, and he'd just say, well, Miss Brown, get them here. You know how to do it. You're the president. I can't do everything. But Derrick wanted to make things better. He didn't want to lend his name just to any organization. And as he told me, I wanted to have my own thing. Then I can be my own boss. And I can do it the way I want to do it. And we used to have these little arguments sometime, and he said, I'm the chairman. And I said, but I'm the president. Don't mean nothing. My name's at the top. I said, okay. Then he'd go back and he'd talk to some of the other board members. He said, I don't know why I'm arguing with her. She's going to do what she want to do anyway. But he left me a job to do. And I tell you, Kansas City, on January the 23rd was a horrible day for me. But I prayed and I prayed and I prayed, and I felt good that Derrick was coming back. And I talked to him on Wednesday, and we were talking about the foundation, and I had told him that I thought we would cancel the celebrity weekend. And he said, why? He said, let's just tone it down just a little bit. He said, but we're going to have a celebrity weekend. And Miss Brown, you got a job to do. I have a job to do, and I tell you, I'm going to do that job, because Derrick Thomas, Third and Long Foundation, will live and live and live and live. And because I'm the president, as Otis said, we're going to be asking, we're going to be asking, we're going to be asking, and if we have to beg, we will beg. But you know, Derrick had this thing about us begging. When we would have a fundraiser, I'd want to cut back things. He said, don't worry about it. They don't want to give, I'll take care of it. So the motto is, we're not going to beg you. We're going to ask you, because I know that's what you want to do. You want to help us. There's a prayer that is said for God to give strength when you don't understand. Give you the courage and the wisdom to distinguish from the understanding. I thought about it this morning, and I said, I'm the president, and I would just like, no applause, but just for the board of the Third and Long to just stand up. Because right now, as you board members stand up, because I am the president, board members stand up. Third and Long board members stand up. Our executive director, Terry. And to Edith, I now, Miss Edith Morgan, make you the honorary chairman of the Third and Long Foundation. Edith worked hard than anyone else, and she is deserving. Would you please continue to pray for us as we move through this time and know that Derrick, with that big smile, is smiling now saying, "You go, Miss Brown."
The Bible teaches me from the book of Luke, chapter 12, verse 48. For unto whomsoever much is given, of him shall be much required. Much was required from Derrick, and he answered God's request. I want to tell you about a journey that I share with my friend, confidant, partner, buddy, and brother, Derrick. A journey that was short in the number of years, but great in the knowledge and wisdom I gained. I want to tell you about a man named Derrick and the soul of that man. His soul was rich and grounded, and that is how he was capable of nurturing and touching the lives of others. Derrick was at his best when he was surrounded with young people that he could encourage and motivate. I was blessed to be a part of the Third and Long Foundation, where I met Derrick, who introduced me to other positive adults. During my first Third and Long luncheon, I informed Derrick that I would like to become a Supreme Court Justice. Derrick said, "Is that right, Mr. Justice?" And my nickname was formed by Derrick from that point on. He would say, "Justice, you must be a sound thinker. Justice, are you upstaging me again?" A few months later, Derrick and Kevin Regan surprised me when I met United States Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas. Who promised me a clerkship when I graduate from law school. Derrick's journey enabled me to plan my future as a justice and focus on more what God wanted me to do. He would tell the entire group of Third and Long readers that he loved us and cared for us. He would say, "Place your education first in your life." His words are still present in my ears, his smile is vivid in my mind, and his voice still echoes in my memory. I want to tell you about the soul of a man. The soul of a man who leaves his legacy of love and respect for others with us. The journey of Derrick was a great contribution to those who needed him. He would tell me to live a good life. I am thankful for the moments together when he would smile and call me Justice. I am more thankful for the soul of a man who met a young man like me and told me he cared. Throughout the journey, Derrick was loved by his mother, Edith Morgan, and she also told me to love my mother with all my heart and soul. I thank you, Miss Edith Morgan, for loving and raising a man that loved others. For it was through your love and his dad's love, his vision of life will still live on. I thank you, Miss Terry Kendall, Executive Director of the Third and Long Foundation, for sharing Derrick with my mom and I. I thank you, the Third and Long Foundation, for your experience of mentoring you have shared with over 600 students in Kansas City, Missouri. I thank you, God, for Derrick, who was a man in my life who loved me for who I am. I will strive to be a mentor, friend, buddy, and confidant to Derrick's sons and daughter as he was to me. Wisdom and love will you as share with others. Our hearts are heavy today as we gather to celebrate the life of a great warrior. Let us be at peace to know he is resting in the bosom of his Heavenly Father.
Good morning. My name is Kevin Regan, and I was Derrick's attorney in his lifetime, and I'm presently counsel for Third and Long as well as a board member. And believe it or not, before I became Derrick's lawyer 10 or 11 years ago, I had a full head of hair. When I was a little boy, my mom and dad would tuck me in by saying, "Good night, God bless you, we love you." It's now our time to tuck Derrick in and send him back to God and to his Father. I'm sure right now, Derrick's up in heaven, looking down at us and smiling and saying, "Why are all you people crying? I'm in heaven now. No more two-a-days. No more 320-pound tackles holding me. No more blind referees not calling it. Sorry, Commissioner. Mike picked me up the other day. Of course, he was an hour late. He told me he was stuck in traffic. He had a beautiful long black limousine with tinted windows. My dad was in the back seat. Walter Payton was in the front seat. We're going golfing tomorrow with Mike, my dad, and Sweetness, and St. Peter. Mike's going to drive the beer cart. He's trying to sell St. Peter mulligans for $100 a pop right now. Many of you saw Derrick pounce on an opposing quarterback like a lion, and last week the man with the heart of a lion's heart stopped, and the lion passed away. The day, I think it was a Monday, the days are all blurred now, but the day we put Derrick back on a plane to Miami in an incapacitated and paralyzed state, I went home and I had a dream that night. And my dream was that Derrick, maybe in months, maybe years, I didn't know how long it would take, but he would walk again. I didn't care what the doctor said, but I felt with God's help, good medical care, Derrick's determination, and a bit of luck, that Derrick would walk again. And with his flair for the dramatic, I knew exactly what he'd do. And I knew he was going to come back to Kansas City. So here's what Derrick was going to do. This was in my dream. And I was going to share it with him and challenge him with it last Wednesday when we were scheduled to meet in Miami. Derrick would have had one of his military buddies, maybe the Blue Angels, pick him up, put him in the cockpit, and he would have landed at Kansas City Airport at the very tarmac where President Bush gave him a point of light for our foundation. And he would have walked, I guarantee you, he would have walked, not been wheeled, down the steps of that plane, looked at you that would be waiting and say, "I'm back, Kansas City. I'm back home. Thank you all so much for your prayers, your support, and your kind thoughts. Now let's embrace each other, get busy, and do some good together." And unfortunately, I never got to share that dream with Derrick. Now, if any of you know Derrick very well, you've been stood up by him. If you know him really, really well, you've been stood up by him at least 10 times. If you've known him as long as I have, and some of these folks have, hundreds of times. Well, the rascal did it to me again. He stood me up and died on Tuesday before I could visit with him on Wednesday. I know that there are friends and family of Mike Tillis who's here, and on Derrick's behalf and his close friends and family, I know we'd like to say to you, we're sorry for your loss and your suffering, and our most heartfelt condolences and wishes go to you. Derrick crammed 100 years of living into his short 33 years, and there was a very private, charitable side to Derrick that y'all never heard about because he would not let any of us that were involved in it talk about it. And since he's not around to beat me up anymore, I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. There's a little boy down in Lone Wolf, Oklahoma by the name of Philip Teepee. In fact, his family tried to get up here, but they're ill today and can't make it. And Philip contracted AIDS through a dirty hemophilia transfusion. He was a good little athlete, and out of ignorance and prejudice and bias, the other teams in his community would refuse to play his team with him on it because they felt they would catch AIDS or something for doing it. So his team backed him up and they wouldn't play. his principal backed him up, and his coach backed him up. And the third and long people and Derrick and I, we formed a bond with the family. And the first time we were going to meet them was they were coming up to see some doctors here, and I was out of town for part of the weekend. And I asked Derrick if he'd take the time to meet with the folks when they came here. And I expected 15 minutes, no more, no less, and that would have been fine. That would have been sufficient for the purpose of that meeting. So Saturday went by, and I didn't know what happened, and no one had called me to tell me what happened. And I called the third and long office on Monday, and I said to our secretary at the time, Julie, I said, Julie, did our man hit a home run? She said, no, Mr. Regan, he hit a grand slam. She said, he went out to the airport in his limousine, driving it himself, picked the family up, got Kevin Pastilli down at the Marriott to comp their room, checked them in, got Ollie Gates to comp around to golf over at Swope Park, took Philip and his dad to Swope Park to golf, and he realized Philip's golf club set was incomplete. He bought him an entirely new set of golf clubs from the pro shop. They played a round of golf. He taught Philip how to cheat in putting bets with his father. This was a Saturday. He took Philip to Garozzo's restaurant where there's usually a 3-hour wait. Mike had arranged to let them go in the back door, and Mike came over and comped the Teepees meal, but made Derrick pay for his. That's the real Derrick Thomas. Another time he decided he wanted to start a deal where we would feed women and kids from battered women's shelters and homeless people. Actually, Derrick was carrying on what Kevin Ross started. So he said, get this going, will you? And I said, all right. And talked to some people and raised some money and found a place. Carol Coe helped us get the Palestine Center on Prospect. And I said to Derrick, all right, we've got it set up. Now, how many people do you want to feed? And he said, EJ, that's my middle initial, that's what he called me, and I called him Vincent, that's his middle name. He said, EJ, I want to feed however many's hungry. You bring them there and I'll feed them. And I could keep you here all day with stories like that, but that is the true essence of Derrick. Darius, DJ, be strong for your mother. You guys are the men of the house now. Edith, Derrick truly loved you like a good son should. You were his best friend in the whole world. He talked about you daily. Terry Kendall, you were and will be, I'm sure, the engine room of third and long. He appreciated everything you've done for him, and for the foundation, and for all of us in the board. Carl, he loved you like a son. You to him were the father he didn't get to know. And I enjoyed watching Derrick's relationship with Carl change. See, when Derrick got here, he wasn't Carl's son for a while. It took a while for that to warm up. Carl was the principal. He'd say, Mr. Regan, I can't come see you just yet. I got to go up to the principal's office and get yelled at. And Carl, the relationship did change from you being the principal to his adopted father. But the relationship really didn't change that much, because all I said then, well, Kevin, I'm going to be an hour late because I got to go get yelled at by my daddy. Derrick could have played football elsewhere, perhaps for more money. But he stayed here, and he wanted to make Kansas City his home because he loved his organization, he loved his teammates, and most importantly, he loved you people that were his fans. You know, while I hope Derrick gets into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio, I know already he's in God's Hall of Fame for good people. I'd like to challenge you kids out there that are working hard and hope someday to be a public figure or a professional athlete. Dream big dreams, just like Derrick did. Do your best. Work hard to achieve your dreams and your goals. And if you get there like he did, practice random acts of kindness every day. Every chance you get to do a good deed or help someone or make someone feel a little better about themselves, do it. You professional athletes out there that are here today and some that may be watching, I'd like to say to you, keep up the good work that you're doing. Step forward and pick up the slack that we're left with Derrick's loss. I'm of Irish Catholic descent, Derrick African American descent, but today I'd like to close and read him an Irish blessing. I'm going to make Derrick an honorary black Irishman today. So to my good friend Vincent, I say this: may the road rise to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the rains fall softly upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand. Derrick, in the words of Bob Dylan, may you always be forever young. Good night. God bless you. We love you. And I know Derrick would want me to say this to you all. Drive home safely and buckle up.
Hi, I'm Leigh Steinberg. I was Derrick's other attorney and his agent for his career. Derrick wanted to be here with us today, but he missed 2 flights and couldn't quite make it. You know, that was Derrick. He called me up in 1989 and told me that he wanted me to be his lawyer and his agent. And I said, but Derrick, you just signed a 5-year contract. You know, you're already bound. He said, well, don't worry about that. I'm not worried about it. Carl will take care of me next year. But what I'm really interested in is the concept that I read in a magazine of role modeling. And I watched what you did with Warren Moon and how an athlete can make a difference by retracing his roots and going back to the high school, collegiate, and professional community that have helped nurture him. And he said, I want to be a role model. I want to make an impact. And I said, Derrick, what is it that you want to do? He said, well, first of all, race relations. He said, black and white people have got to be able to live together and work together in this world. And next he said, literacy. He said, Leigh, I had my own problems learning how to read. And I want to make sure that there's not one kid in this country that grows up that doesn't know how to read. So we embarked on his passion and his mission in life. I want to recognize Nancy Mitchell, who was very important in first establishing his foundation. We all worked together and built something that was absolutely tremendous. Derrick had a lot of ambitions and a lot of dreams. He also had a larger-than-life appetite to live many different ways. So some of you knew Derrick the haberdasher with his custom-fitted suits where he outfitted half of the National Football League. Some of you know Derrick's limousine service, where he acquired a set of limousines. Some of you know him as Derrick the roofer. Every single day, Derrick Thomas would call up with the most creative ideas imaginable. His creativity, his imagination was simply astounding. Today, it would be an idea for a new set of trading cards that could rock the country. Tomorrow, it would be an internet site, but every day he had something. One of his other roles was as social director to the National Football League. Derrick had more friends across the NFL than any player I have ever seen. His tool was the cell phone. So let's remember Derrick as he really was, with one cell phone here, the other cell phone here, and the ability to actually finish a conversation wasn't there. Every single time Derrick went to a fast food restaurant, he would call me. So it would be, Leigh, about my contract, 2 orders of fries and hold the cheese. I said, Derrick, what is it about going to a fast food restaurant that makes you think of me? He said, well, maybe it's your stomach, Leigh. But that was Derrick. Ambassador to the world. Has Derrick Thomas left us? He hasn't left us. He's alive in all of our hearts. He's alive in the hearts of everyone he touched throughout this world. Imagine a young man with the presence to stand next to President Clinton on Memorial Day and speak for every young kid who ever lost their parent in a war. Derrick Thomas was the voice of that generation. Imagine someone who could testify before Congress as to literacy. His dreams were bold, and we felt like that in addition to being a roofer, he had the potential to be a senator from Missouri or president. He had that type of magnetism and that type of a draw for people. Edith, he loved you dearly and talked about his mother all the time. And the strength that was inside of him and the vision had to come from someone, you know, and we know it came from you. And I bless you for that. Well, we were joking on the way out here that one of the games we used to play with Derrick was he would go on the road and they'd have team meetings like at 9 o'clock. So we had this tradition with David Dunn where we went out and had dinner before the game. Well, his challenge was how close he could cut it to get to the team meeting without being late. And this year, he set one of his all-time records. He was 2.2 seconds before he got to the meeting, and he was very, very proud of that. We challenged him to see whether he could get it under 1 second, but he didn't want to risk that. Derrick Thomas is alive in my heart. He's alive in the hearts of everyone who knew him. Derrick would rather light candles than curse the darkness, and his radiance will forever be with us. Thank you.
First, giving honor to God, who's head of my life. My name is Bobby Humphrey, former player with Derrick Thomas, better known as DT. A lot has been said today, and those who know him personally know the characteristics of DT. I can remember when we came in together as freshmen at the University of Alabama, and I was from Birmingham, Alabama, and wasn't too up to beat on the big city, and Derrick Thomas pulled up in front of the dorm in that Nova. Many of the guys who was at Alabama at that time knew about that Nova. And it sounded in the back of his trunk like he had University of Alabama marching band in the trunk. Looked like he had been driving all night, all the way from the bottom. We used to call Miami the bottom. And he got out with his tank top, walked over to everybody with that smile and just started greeting everyone and just saying hello to everyone. Very friendly person. I was very frightened. He told me he played linebacker. I was hoping he would tell me he played tight end, because I knew I would have to block him, because I played running back. But we growed and we had a great relationship. And we was very, very community-minded, things that he would do and things that I would do together, going out, speaking and reading to kids in the community and at the schools. So all the things I'm hearing that he done in Kansas City is not new news to me because we there in Alabama, Tuscaloosa, Alabama, really loved him. We really loved him, and he holds dear to our heart. And I guess by me being the only guy on the program was from Alabama, I guess I speak for the state. But he reached out, although he was from a big city, he reached out to counties and the city throughout Alabama. I mean, no city was too small. Hollywood, Alabama, population of maybe 100 or 2. He would go there. He would speak to the people there. He would sign autographs. He would do the things that I believe God picked him to do. Derrick was a special person. No other man that I know of could be like Derrick. Never was on time. And we felt that, hey, that was his characteristic. Nobody expected him to be on time. If he was on time, something was wrong. It was Derrick, that's the way he was. I could sit here and talk all day, probably tomorrow and the next day, about Derrick. He and I were social work majors. I tell you, Derrick Thomas rewrote the book on how to be a social worker. His dorm room was like the counseling's room. Everyone came to him for advice. Everyone always asked his opinion about things. He was more or less like a father in some way to a lot of the guys there and to a lot of the guys now. And we all had a part of Derrick, and he all done things for a lot of us. And one thing I want to challenge and pose a question, and Carl said it when he said Derrick came into his office and asked what was the Chiefs going to do to match it. Then he asked him personally what he was going to do. Well, I want to ask you all in here today, what are you going to do? Derrick has already laid the foundation. He's already established something. We don't need to go out. When we run out of gas, go out and buy a new car because we ran out of gas. The vehicle is already here. We just need to continue to put gas in the vehicle that Derrick has already established. And I feel because he gave, we should give also. I'm reminded of a passage of scripture in the Bible concerning the 10 lepers. Jesus healed them all. But only one came back to tell him thank you. Derrick has touched us all. How many of us will go back and to pour out into the community, into the kids who he cherished, and to give back in order to keep his legacy going? I'm one. Will you be another? Thank you.
Hello, I'm Tony Richardson. I was Derrick's teammate. I'm actually able to stand here at peace today, being a Christian and being a child of God. Knowing Derrick rededicated his life and gave it to the Lord, I can stand here at peace. Actually, the only thing I'm having trouble with today is, Bobby's from Alabama. And I just don't understand why is it the guys from Auburn always have to follow the guys from Alabama. I don't understand that. But one thing, I know Derrick would want me to do. He's been trying to get me to do it for years, and it's just something as an Auburn man I just really couldn't do. And so today I feel it's special, and it's a need that I have to do this. And I told some guys that I had something special for them today, so I have to put on my Alabama. I had a chance to run into Kevin Green. Kevin, please don't hold this against me. It's another Auburn guy. Actually, I kind of want to read a scripture from Matthew 6, verse 1. It says, "Be careful not to do your acts of righteousness before man to be seen by them. If you do, you will not have no reward from your Father in heaven. So when you give to the needy, do not announce it with the trumpets as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and on the streets to be honored by men. I tell you the truth, they have received their reward in full. But when you give to the needy, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, so that your giving should be in secret. Then your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you." And last night, I actually had a pretty tough time, seeing my teammate and seeing a lot of guys around. But when I went home and researched my Bible, that was the best scripture I can find to think about Derrick Thomas. This was a man, on many occasions, would go into the community and give back. This is a man had an opportunity. Obviously, the 11 years he played here in Kansas City was phenomenal. We can stand here all day and talk about the things he did on the football field. But giving back in this community is the legacy that Derrick Thomas has left. He has left a legacy for myself, for all of my teammates, for my fraternity brothers around the league. We definitely, like Bobby said, what are we going to do to continue this legacy that Derrick has left for us? As a Christian and as a child of God, when I was reading this program, the most important date that I see here is in March 1997, Derrick rededicated his life to Christ. So I know that Derrick's looking down on us now, and he's saying, why everyone's sitting here so sad. This would be a time that we should stand and rejoice and be happy and be glad. One thing I kind of wanted to share with everyone here today is, Derrick's resting. He's at peace. If he had an opportunity to come back right now, there's no way he'd trade where he's at right now. One thing I kind of want to challenge everyone with today is everyone inside of their heart, they know where they're at in their relationship with the Lord. As a child of God, every opportunity I get, as Reggie White always says, is this platform that I have and being chosen to speak at Derrick Thomas Memorial Service, I have to let you know what the Lord has done for me in my life. So as I stand here today, knowing Derrick Thomas is resting with the Father, it's not a day to be sad, it's a day to be happy. It's a day to be glad, because I know I'm living according to the Word, and I know one day I will see my buddy again. And right now he's smiling and he's laughing, and I know he's smiling with this University of Alabama hat on. But it's just, the people in Kansas City, I just want to take my hat off to you guys. It's just been awesome to see the way the fans, his friends, everybody rallied around this guy. Only Derrick Thomas could bring this many people together, white, black, Korean, whatever. Derrick touched every single person's life. In the Bible, in the book of Proverbs 3:5, it says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. And in all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your path straight." So it's not for us to understand why Derrick left. Only thing we can do is, I said, be happy and be glad that he is resting with the Father. For when he designed, he said, hey, I'm going to create Derrick Thomas. He foresaw that he saw the end. He knew the day that Derrick would leave this earth. He knew how many people's lives he would touch. And he knew God ordained this day right here that everyone can check in their heart and see where their walk is with the Lord. So I challenge you today to strengthen your walk with the Lord. And if you get an opportunity, read the book of Romans 10, verse 9 and 10, how to be saved. It says, if you believe... It says, if you believe in your heart that Jesus died on the cross and confess with your mouth, you will be saved. So as standing here today, I know I'm a child of God, and I challenge, and I know that's what Derrick would want you to do. Find out where you're in yourself and your relationship with the Lord, and God bless you, and just continue to pray for him and his family. Mom, if you look around, you have a lot of sons, and we're here for you. And like I said, there's a legacy here left in the third and long foundation. It would be an honor and a pleasure for me to be a part of that. You know, Derrick has, you know, over the years, you know, he's touched my life in a very special way. So the only thing we can do is just, however way he came into your life, just remember that and hold on to that. And that's something that you will always have. Everybody in here can stand and tell about a story that when they met Derrick Thomas. Actually, my story started, I was at high school in a little town of Daleville, Alabama, and had the opportunity to take my official visit to the University of Alabama. And I'm at a basketball game, and actually I was sitting with the Bama Bells. I know the Bama guys know about the Bama Bells. And I'm sitting with the Bama Bell, and I guess Mr. Thomas had taken interest in one of these Bama Bells, and actually the one that I was sitting with. So I'm sitting probably 5 rows up, and I saw Derrick. I hadn't had an opportunity to meet him. I was nervous, you know, didn't really know what to expect. And this man just kept looking back at me, and I'm like, man, I'm not trying to, you know, talk to your girl. I'm just trying to sit here and, you know, enjoy the basketball game. So I'm sitting there for, I guess, an hour and a half, and scared half to death, just wondering what Derrick was going to do to me at the end of the day. And you know, I had an opportunity. He came up to me, and you know, he spoke to the young lady first, as the gentleman he would be, and he came up and he shook my hand, and he said something special. You know, this is a special woman that you're sitting with, and as Derrick, and with the smile, you know, this is my woman. So I kind of, I realized that I was on some bad territory there. But actually, it's truly an honor and a pleasure to be here today. It's just overwhelming that day that God ordained for me and Derrick Thomas' path to cross. That I'm able to stand here today from Auburn University with an Alabama hat on. But like Bobby said, I can stand here all day long and share the stories and share the memories of Derrick. And just one memory that I really have that's fond to my heart is for Christmas, Derrick would always go into the hospitals. And this year, it was Derrick, myself, and Chester McLaughlin. And this picture right here tells what Derrick Thomas was really about. We're going around, and it was very tough, emotional for myself and Derrick, and he's, you know, he's trying to stay strong, and, you know, him being the veteran player, and you know, I'm still a young guy coming along. He was, you know, just kind of, you know, we were going through the rooms, and just kind of giving the kids some motivation. A lot of kids really didn't have a great outlook on life, and we come across this little baby, and the nurse told us, she said, you know, I think the baby was 2 months old, and she said that, you know, in probably 2 more weeks, this baby would no longer be with us. And Derrick just, and the purpose in his heart that we take a picture with this baby. And it was just a special feeling, because I knew if there was anything that Derrick can do for this baby to live and to enjoy the life that he had lived, he would definitely do it. So when I went and I came back from Auburn University and was in my closet and his picture was here, I said, hey, that's what Derrick Thomas was all about. So as I stand here today, obviously I'm sad because I lost a friend, but it's a friend I will see again. And it's just, like I said, it's a time to rejoice and be glad. And I just continue to pray for the family. Like I said, Mom, you have a lot of sons here, and we're here, and we're in your corner, and we love you. And anything you need from us, you just ask, and we'll be there for you. God bless you.
Downstairs yesterday, I was mighty touched to look at his locker, and have a picture of me in there. Lord, I'm tired of crying. We're tired of it. We can't help it. When one is loved like this one, we can't help it. And we used to joke about My little ones would cry, your little ones. And Mike tell us, and they would joke about it and say, Sam, Mike would say, you know, I want you to sing at my funeral. I said, you want me to sing there? You know, what would you want me for? Because I want you to. And I said, well, I guess I don't know why you'd want me. And then Dee said, Sam, I would want you to sing at my funeral. I said, well, you can get anybody you want, Dee. Any of the most popular singers in this world sing at your funeral. He said, yeah, Sam, but I want you. I never thought that day would come. But that day has come. I just want to have the privilege of reading Derrick's words and then to sing the message that I must sing. It was written by Derrick on Sunday, February 6th. I wish that there were enough words in the human language to express my sincere gratitude and heartfelt thanks for all of the well wishes, cards, letters, and words of encouragement and prayers that I have received. I would also like to thank everyone who have made donations to my Third and Long Foundation, as well as anyone who has made a donation on my behalf to spinal cord injury research. I wish that I could thank each and every one of you individually, but that would be nearly impossible. I would also like everyone to know that I am going to be just fine. No, we've no less days to sing God's praise. Our world
has just
Thank you very much.
Now, I want all of the former players, the current players, the coaches, Gunther, Carl, Lamar to come up here. This is going to be our locker room. You know, I'm fortunate, 37 years in the National Football League, in the American Football League. You've seen the games, you fans, and you're the greatest fans in America. But my privilege has been to be with these young people. I call them my kids. You get mad at them when they make mistakes. You love them when they play well. But they're all a member of my family. I've been around them a long time at the old stadium at Arrowhead Stadium. We think a lot of each other. That's why so many have come back and so many are here today. So will you please come forward, stand around Derrick down here while we have a little session in the locker room. Now, you folks don't understand. You never get to see the locker room when a game is over. See the comradeship, see the love, see the understanding. Mr. Tagliabue, come on up here and be in our locker room. Otis Taylor. You never get to see the compassion of these people, the understanding for each other when they rip the tape off a bloody body. Football is caring about each other, helping each other, working together to make a great team. You don't always win Super Bowls, but I'll tell you one thing. You win the hearts of each other and all of these great and beautiful people down here. About a year ago, Derrick and I were called over to Whiteman Air Force Base. Carl Peterson was there. Tim Whitmer and his great jazz combo, George Brett, who's with us today. We went over and put on a show for all of the guys who were fighting, the pilots carrying the stealth bomber over to Serbia. We went over there to entertain the troops because they'd been through such tremendous stress. Derrick was the leader of the group when we went over there. And you know something? After watching Derrick Thomas in the end zone, grabbing Elway, grabbing Young, and decking George, I know they patterned the stealth bomber after Derrick Thomas. Now we're all going to join in together. You're lucky in this country to have the opportunity, the beautiful American flag, and the chance to help people all over the world. That's what it's all about. And when we sing our national anthem together today, let's think about the words and what our national anthem means, not only to us, but to the poor, the oppressed, and the people who need help everywhere. And every time we had to fly over the stealth bomber from Whiteman Air Force Base, I looked down, there was Derrick Thomas with that beautiful smile of his looking up in the air as that stealth bomber roared across Arrowhead. And if you don't get the feeling, you don't get the feeling of love and understanding for this great country and for the game of football, then there's something wrong with you. And now, Mr. Cunningham behind me, great saxophonist, is going to play our great national anthem. And let's all join in together and sing it and think of what we're saying and dedicate these words to our dear sweet friend.
Derrick Thomas was a man who could interact with anyone from any walk of life, and DT had a definite impact on everyone he met. That included his teammates and his peers around the NFL. Here's Ann Carroll.
No doubt Derrick Thomas was loved by so many, including his extended NFL family.
You know, when Derrick came here, him being the first pick is really when this organization made the turn and really started winning football games and making some playoff runs.
It's always a sad situation to have to come together for something like this, but at least it shows the love that everyone had for DT.
A family which Derrick drew just as much strength from as he gave.
He did a lot for this community, did a lot for this organization, the team, and that's how I always remember.
There were former teammates like Marcus Allen and Bill Moss, dozens of current teammates, and other NFL players that battled Derrick from across the line of scrimmage.
Well, you just try to take away a little understanding and understand that he's in a better place, and hopefully one day we'll see him again.
And each one touched by Derrick in different ways.
It really makes you think twice now every time you get into a car. I mean, just coming here this morning on driving down 435 from the airport, I mean, just watching your speed. I mean, it's just when something like that happens to a guy that you know, a guy that you're friendly with, a teammate of yours, it really hits home.
The light of Derrick Thomas shines brighter than ever, and we all who've been touched by him have an opportunity to be a beacon for the things that he believed in, and that's what we're all going to try to do.
Neil Smith, one of Derrick's closest friends, says closure is something that may never come.
Almost not, but yet you have to, because in the Bible it says that what he gives forward, he takes away, and that's the way we have to do it.
A fitting final farewell to number 58. But as many said in today's services, friends and family gathered, not because Derrick died, but because Derrick Thomas lived.